Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Name's Outback Jack. If you're anything like me, you enjoy listening to the Thick Boy podcast. Why else would you be here, you cunt? If you do enjoy the podcast, why not leave a like, a rating, or a review on your favorite podcast platform? That way, more people can find it. Meanwhile, I'll do my part to spread the word down here in the Down Under. Cheers, mate.
Live.
All right.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Was that Rush that said that?
No, it was,
Was it Sean Hannity?
was it Sean Hannity?
It was one of them. I can't remember. Yeah. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah. I think it might have been him.
My favorite part of that, he's like, shit fucking sucks. I don't even know what it is. I just like that. I like that clip out of context. Settle in here.
My favorite thing about that is like how it all kind of reminds me of the way Alex Jones acts.
Oh God, Alex Jones.
Turn in the freaking frogs, gay.
Have you ever seen that one Alex Jones clip where he's talking about goblins?
Pot-bellied goblins.
He's like, God, what does he say? He's like, Trump's walking around a goblin nest. He's got a goblin guide. He's gonna kiss a goblin. He's gonna take a goblin bride. Or it's just like, Alex Jones clips are the best out of context because you're like, what?
You're like, you know, what is he talking about?
Yeah, the mystery is like, how did he get there? Yeah. How did he get to goblin nest?
Did you see that video that I sent you? It was like him as the Doom guy.
Yes, I did.
At the end, he's like, "We're breaking the conditioning."
Yeah. One of my favorite things, my favorite Alex Jones things, is when he was advertising that caveman diet supplement.
Yeah.
And he did the before and after picture. And it's just the exact same picture, except he's red.
Yeah.
In the second picture, he's like his blood pressure got really high. Like he's just, like, what is this stuff? Like sodium tablets?
Yeah, he had like that, and what was it? Was oh God, it was like the alpha male something or another supplement that he was pushing there for a bit.
I don't know. How much of that is an act, do you think?
I think that he like cranks it up.
Yeah.
I think that's who he is.
Really? You think that's who he is?
But I think that he like cranks it up to 11.
Do you think he's aware that he's kind of that way?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like, he puts a little theater on it. When
yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know. Part of me feels like it's all an act. And like once he gets home and closes the door, he's like a normal person.
Oh, no, because I mean, he's been doing this since like Bush was in office.
Yeah.
Like he was like going down to the White House and like protesting and stuff.
Have you ever seen Alex Jones go Super Saiyan? His video. He just started screaming about Obama or whatever. He just like, and somebody did like the effects on it or whatever.
I like that one. Have you seen the one where it was like they did like an indie folk song or whatever?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Oh man, he's a lot of fun.
I know. I miss him. I wish he was still on YouTube because he had so many good clips.
What did he get? Did he get taken off?
Yeah, he's not allowed on there. He's not allowed on there on Twitter or anywhere.
Oh, he
really.
got deplatformed. Huh?
Yeah. So then only place you can find him anymore, I think, is on his website.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. He was a lot of fun.
No.
I don't think anybody took him seriously. Or the people that did were the problem, right?
Yeah, the people that like took him seriously. I think the thing is like the people that wanted him deplatformed or whatever, And then the people who actually took him seriously are like a very small portion of people.
Yeah.
And I think everybody else just watches it for like the entertainment value.
Everybody else just enjoyed the spectacle of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like everybody likes a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I love conspiracy theories.
Me
They're
too.
one of my favorite.
I remember when it was around when the not after Trump's election, but like right there towards the end of the 2016 presidential campaign or whatever. Mm-hmm. He Alex Jones went to the Young Turks studio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the Young Turks is his foil, you know. And he went in there and he had some shirt that said what did it say? Death to Palestine or some shit like that. Yeah. I don't know. Just Alex Jones shit.
Some fucking nonsense.
And they were all just going fucking crazy. It was like when you scoop up one anthill and dump it into another anthill. It was just insane. Insanity.
That's the thing that kills me is how he riles people up.
Yeah.
It's I don't get it.
Yeah, he knows how to get a reaction out of people. What did you know Eric Andre, right? The Eric Andre show? Didn't he went to a Republican convention or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
And wasn't Alex Jones there? And he went up on stage with him?
Yeah, maybe. I think that sounds right.
I seem to remember that.
Yeah.
And he kept trying to kiss him. I fucking love the Eric Andre show. Have you ever watched it?
I've watched one or two episodes. My favorite one was with all the memes or whatever, where he's like, "Let me in."
Yeah, that was at was it called the DMC?
Yeah, the DNC, where they had the convention or whatever it was, or what? Yeah.
He had some model or somebody on there named Lauren Conrad.
Yeah,
and one of the things he did was she was sitting there and he was talking to her. And just saying crazy shit or whatever. And Hannibal, who is his co-host, Hannibal Buress, he starts eating a head of lettuce. Just a raw head of lettuce. And so she turns and she looks at him and he just looks at her. He's like, "You got to eat the lettuce." And so while she's turned away, Eric Andre picked up a cup of oatmeal off of the floor next to him.
Yeah.
And he put it in his mouth. It doesn't show him do that. That's he said behind the scenes that's how he did it. But she turns and she looks back at Eric and he just goes like that and pretends to puke on his desk. And so she turns her face away. She's like, "Oh my God." And he goes, "Lauren, what's wrong?" And he leans over and he goes, "Oh man,
is he the same one that was drinking the ranch out of the bottle?"
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Cheers, bro. I'll drink to that. Well,
good.
Let's bring her in. Hello and welcome to the sixth. That's hard to say. Sixth episode of the Thick Boys podcast. My name is Gary. This is my brother Wesley.
Hello, everybody.
We get another early start here this morning. You've got to fly out to, were you in California?
Yeah, I got to go to Fresno. So I'm leaving Atlanta, and I got a layover in LAX. Ugh.
A layover in LAX?
Yeah.
How far is LA from Fresno?
I looked, because what I was going to do is I was just going to get a rental car and drive up, but it was 3.5 hours.
It seems to me like you would just fly in or is Fresno must be the closest airport, or?
I have to go to Fresno. So most of the time what it is I'll fly from Atlanta to Salt Lake City and then into Fresno. But that one wasn't available, so I have to fly from Atlanta to LAX and then up to Fresno.
How long is that flight?
What, LAX to Fresno?
From Atlanta to LAX.
It's 4 hours.
Really?
No.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's across the country.
Yeah.
That's the literal other side of the country. That's not bad.
Which is nice because I got a window seat, so most of the time I just sleep on the plane anyway. So.
Yeah, I can't sleep. My very first ever experience with flying was not a good one, and since then it's just, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy.
No.
It's just not good.
Well, I figured if it's going to be one of those instances like with the United flight where the engine explodes, at least I'll be asleep when we all die.
You'll probably wake up at some point. You'll wake up for the terror.
From all the G-forces and the screaming. I don't know, because I remember that time that me and Mom were flying and we went over the Rockies and we dropped like 1,000 feet out of the sky because we hit the air pocket. And like it was just quiet the entire time. Like nobody said anything. And it like threw the stewardess and like into the back of the plane, and she like had a concussion. And, like her head was bleeding and shit. Yeah. Like the thing I remember about that is I didn't have my seatbelt on.
Yeah. And
so when we dropped, like I was like suspended in air. Like I had to come up out of my seat.
What?
And then like everybody's like their flip phones, because it was everybody's like cell phones.
Yeah.
Were like in the air. So I was like up above everybody, like looking like through the cabin.
Oh, no.
And, like all these phones were like floating in the air, and then it just went wham like that, and we like slammed back down, and I was like gripped onto the arms of the chair.
Yeah.
And then I like just took and buckled my seatbelt and just like sat there. God, and it was just quiet and nobody said anything.
How far was it into the flight when that happened? Was it towards the end or in the middle, or?
It was towards the back portion of the flight, because I think we were flying into Salt Lake City that time. So
wow. So in that moment, where did you think like, this is?
Yeah, I was like, this is it.
This is it. This is how
I'm 13 and I'm going to die in a plane crash. Into the fucking Rocky Mountains.
Oh man, it's
like if I survive, it'll be something like the Donner Party or something like that.
Oh, is that where they were eating each other? Yeah. Yeah. This the last flight I took was up to Indiana, or no, I'm sorry, Illinois. We flew into Chicago, and like I hate flying so much that I like if I know that I have to fly, like if even if it's a year away, if I know that flight is coming, and I'm going to have to get on an airplane, I'm a different person the entire time before that flight and after, because I'm just like, they always say, oh, you have a greater chance of dying in a car crash than you do in an airplane crash. Yeah. Okay, well, I have a greater chance of walking away from a car crash than I do an airplane crash.
Yeah, exactly. If the airplane goes down, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, I won't die in an airplane crash if I never get in an airplane.
Yeah.
But did this last?
Yeah, I mean, the thing too is like, it's not like there's as many airplanes in the sky as there is cars.
Well, yeah, they're not going to crash into each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you go spiraling down towards the earth, and explode in a giant fiery fireball. Imagine if cars exploded like that every time they wrecked. Nobody would drive.
I don't know about that. I think people would still drive.
Oh yeah, well, that's true, probably. But yeah, so before that flight, I had started watching Lost. And I don't know why I did that, but all it did was freak me out.
Yeah, at least you weren't crashing in the middle of the ocean, though. So
yeah, that's true. But I just hate flying, and like every little bump is like, I'm gonna die.
No.
Every single time. I just can't, and I can't get out of that headspace the entire time I'm in the flight. No. Like the whole time I'm flying, I'm like begging to God, please let me live through this. And everybody else on the plane is just like, scratching their toes and, laughing and talking to each other.
Yeah,
I'm like,
the plane is a lawless place.
I'm like, do you people not fucking realize we're in an aluminum tube, 35,000 feet in the air, going, Mach 4 or some shit like this? Like this can go sour real quick. No. I can't, like I said, I can't get out of that headspace.
I think that I've just flown so much now that
you have flown a lot.
I'm just desensitized to it.
So to you, it's like just fucking whatever at this point.
Like the biggest thing for me with flying is like I hate the process of flying. Like I hate going to the airport. I hate checking my bags. Yeah. I hate going through security. It's better now, like, because I have, like, TSA pre-check and everything. Mm-hmm. So it takes, like, 5 minutes for me to go through security. But when I didn't have that and, like, going through security took, like, 45 minutes to, like, an hour and a half through Atlanta. Ugh.
And yeah, see, for me, that's another thing, too, because it just kind of, like, because I just want to get it over with. I just want to get on this plane and get off the plane. And it's like I have all this bullshit that I have to like trudge through beforehand. And like, all it does is give me time to think about the fact that I'm about to get on an airplane.
No.
Like I have very few phobias. I definitely think that fear of flying is one of them.
Is it the fear of flying or is it the fear of crashing into the earth?
Yeah, the latter.
Yeah.
Because the flying itself, I guess, isn't so bad, but it's just like, you know, it just can go so bad so fast, you know? I mean, not even thinking like, you know, like a hijack, like a terrorist situation, just like, what if, and I know that, you know, planes have redundancies and things like that, so like a single bolt falling out of the wing is not going to kill anything.
No.
But I've seen videos where, you know, the engine exploded mid-flight.
Yeah, that was what happened to that United flight like 2 weeks ago. It's like
that happened recently?
Yeah, the engine was like on fire, and the like. If you watch the video, like the engine is like on. Somebody's filming it. Like they're sitting in front of the wing, but they're like turned around and filming it or whatever. Yeah. And so you see the engine and like the outside portion of it is just like stripped away, and it's just the turbine like it's moving, but it's not moving super fast.
Yeah.
And then there's just fire like on the engine. And it's like shaking.
Yeah, fuck that.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Fuck
that. It's like if that had been me, I just like pulled the slot on the window like down.
Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
It was like my butt would have been drawn up in a knot.
Like, oh, yeah, I could have crushed coal into diamonds with my asshole. Yeah, my first ever experience with flying was when I flew out to Houston.
Oh yeah, yeah. Was that when you puked all over yourself and you had to get that?
I had to buy a new shirt at the airport.
It's like an MLK shirt or something.
So
it's like 2 sizes too small.
I guess I need to tell this story because it's a bit of a doozy. So I at the time I had a girlfriend who was she had moved out to Houston to go to college, and I was going to fly out there and go see her. And it was my first ever airplane flight or whatever. And even prior to that, I didn't like the idea of it.
Yeah, the thought.
Yeah, I was already like kind of like, oh, I don't want to get on an airplane.
No.
So, you know, the morning that I woke up, you know, I'm already kind of in that headspace, like, oh my God, I'm freaked out. I didn't eat anything because I just couldn't keep anything down. I wasn't going to eat anything. And I'm a nervous shitter. No. So when I got to the airport, I was like, I really got to go to the bathroom.
No.
Well, it just so happened that day, security was like super fucking long.
No.
Like it was all the way at baggage claim.
No.
So it was kind of like this culmination of several different things. Like I was nervous. I had to shit real bad. I didn't know what I was doing, like where I was supposed to go or whatever. So it takes me about an hour to get through security. And I went into the airport bathroom without even putting my shoes back on. No. Because I had to poop so bad. No. And I was like, I know I'm going to miss my flight. Like, I'm really crunching for time here.
No.
So I got that handled. And, you know, I got on the little, like, tram thing or whatever. And I didn't realize.
Yeah, they call it the plane train, but I call it the pain train.
The pain train. That thing's pretty rough. Yeah. It like accelerates so fucking quickly. Yeah. And if you're not expecting it, it will throw you off your feet.
Yeah, the first time you ride it, it's sort of it's startling.
Yeah, it is. So I end up getting to my terminal or whatever, and once I get to my gate, the plane's taxiing down the runway.
Yeah.
The plane is leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, I missed my plane. Oh well. So I sat down. I texted Mom. I was like, hey, I missed my plane. And I'm just sitting there. And I'm thinking that there'll be another one that'll come up.
Yeah.
Right? Like a bus station.
Yeah.
And she calls me.
That's not how this works.
Yeah, she calls me. She goes, so what are you doing? I'm like, I'm waiting for the next one. And she was like, that's not how it fucking works. She's like, you have to go to somewhere, go to whatever counter and get another flight.
Yeah.
And so I ended up having to get a connecting flight to St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then to Houston. So after that, like 2-hour ordeal, I find out that my flight, my new one is not until like 5 hours from now.
Yeah.
So I've got to hang out in the terminal for 5 hours. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit over here by the gate. Or I'm going to be right here at the gate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make any mistakes. And I was like, I started to get really kind of tired, and like I just started feeling bad. I was like, I'm going to lay down. I was like, I really don't care.
Yeah.
I see other people laying down, so it's an acceptable thing to do.
No.
So I lay down across the benches or whatever, and probably about 20 minutes later, I woke up, and I knew that I had to vomit.
Yeah.
Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
got like
your mouth is watering.
Your mouth is watering. You got like the cold sweats. I'm like, oh no, like, oh shit, what do I do? And so I sit up and I look to my left and I don't see any bathrooms that way.
Yeah.
And I look to my right and I see a bathroom, but it's like, I don't know, 3,500 feet away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way down there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to try.
Yeah.
I said, all I can do is try. Prior to this, I did get a blue Powerade.
Yeah.
That's important. I drank a blue Powerade before this. So I start power walking down towards the bathroom. And I started puking as soon as I like passed the threshold between the concourse.
Your buddy's just like, we can't
Yeah,
hold this
it's got to
anymore.
come out, man. It has to come out. And I put my hand over my mouth, and I'm just spraying puke through my fingers as I'm walking into the bathroom and rounding the corner and going into a stall. And it was the only time I've ever in my life had projectile vomit. And it wasn't like, chunky vomit or anything like that, because I hadn't eaten anything.
Yeah.
All it was my stomach bile and that blue Powerade.
Yeah.
Because when it came out, it was like neon green. So I'm spraying neon green puke all over this bathroom. And I go in, I finally get in the stall, and I finish puking or whatever. And there was a guy that came in after I had finished.
Like, what the fuck?
He came in after I'd finished or whatever, and he walked in, he goes, "Oh, man." So, I washed my hands and I washed my face, and I noticed that I have puke on my shirt.
No.
And I was like, well, I have to get a new shirt.
No.
I don't have my baggage because it's on the plane that left a while ago. And I go down to a gift shop and start looking for T-shirts. And my options were MLK or I Love Atlanta.
No.
And I was like, well, I probably shouldn't get the MLK one because I'm a white guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people might think that I'm being ironic.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't really love Atlanta, but I'm going to go ahead and get this shirt anyway. So I grabbed the shirt, buy it or whatever, and it was like a fucking airport T-shirt, so the thing was like $45 fucking.
No.
So I get my shirt, I go into the bathroom, and I go to put it on, and as I'm putting it on, you know those coat hooks that are on the inside of like a bathroom stall?
No.
I smash my elbow on that thing and bust that shit wide open. And I'm like bleeding all down my arm. And this shirt was 2 sizes too small. The hanger said double XL. It was a large. So now I'm like pale, and I'm crammed into this tiny shirt. I'm bleeding profusely from my arm, and I just go and I just sit back down in the terminal. I'm just so defeated. And I remember sitting there, and like at one point the shirt came up over my gut a little bit. And I was just like, I don't care. I just wanted this over with. So that was my first experience with flying. Oh, I did see Dave Chappelle though.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
When I landed in St. Louis, I walked past him as I was on my way to my gate, and I didn't even realize, I was like so out of it that I didn't really realize that's who that was.
Yeah.
And when I was like, I think I kind of look like Dave Chappelle. Like I sat down at my gate,
Yeah.
and then I turned and looked back, and he had like a crowd of people around him, and they were like talking to him. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's pretty cool. I'm not getting up though.
No. Was that after you had bought the shirt and you were bleeding everywhere?
Yeah, that was after.
Oh.
So he probably wouldn't have wanted to talk to me.
Yeah. No, he's probably like, what the fuck? You imagine if you would have got the MLK shirt, he definitely would have stopped and talked to you. Like, especially if it would have been a large and you'd still have been crammed into it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That was awful.
God.
And it wasn't worth it because that relationship ended up going down in flames.
Yeah, well.
As those tend to do.
Yeah. 99 times out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
No, flying is always an adventure because there's always some sort of nonsense that you have to put up with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Consider the people that are coming in and out of the airport. You know, right? It's a mixed bag. It's everybody in the whole world, especially in Atlanta because it's an international airport.
No.
So you're going to see all kinds of things.
Yeah, and a lot of people have connecting flights in Atlanta just because of how large it is.
I never realized how large the Atlanta airport was.
Oh, it's massive. It's the largest in the world.
Is it the largest in the world?
It is the largest in the world.
Because when we flew to New Orleans back in January of last year, that airport was really tiny.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in comparison?
Yeah, even still large, like, international airports are extremely small compared to the Atlanta airport.
Is it just because there's so much, like, business and infrastructure out here that's just kind of where it winds up?
Well, that's where Delta's headquarters is at, is in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so large. It's sort of like another large one for them is Detroit.
Yeah.
So Detroit has a massive airport, but theirs only has like 2 different terminals, and like one of them is like 3 miles long.
Yeah.
So it's just like all these gates on the one terminal.
Wow.
So I remember like one time
it just like stretches past the horizon.
Yeah. I remember like you look down and like you can't see the end of it.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I flew in there, the flight that I had coming in was down on one end, and the flight I had my connecting flight was all the way on the other end.
Oh, God.
And so I was like, I ran for a little bit, and I was like, nah, fuck this. And I was like, if I missed the flight, I missed the flight. Like, I'm not about to take a 4-mile jog down to this fucking gate.
They didn't have the moving sidewalks?
They did, but I mean, 32 of them till you get down there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Almighty.
Yeah, flying is always something new. It's always happening.
I just feel like I would rather, like, if it's somewhere in the country, I really would just rather drive, to be entirely honest. And I hate super long rides or whatever, but I hate flying even more.
Yeah, that's what, like I said, I think at this point, like, I'm just desensitized to it. Like,
how many times have you been out to California now? California.
This will be my, I think, 6th trip out there for work.
I just started thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governator.
The Governator. Out there having affairs with
his maids.
Yeah, with maids.
You think he's like, I'm going to fucking come?
He's like, wow.
Where did that come from? That like he's never done that. So, like, but when everybody talks about him, they're like, "Oh yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
like,
Arnold, that guy." Like, do you think like when he's sleeping, he's like, "Oh." I just don't know where that came from. Man, talk about a guy that lived the American dream, right?
Yeah, he's got a very interesting story too. I think that he was like from Austria originally, and then he like got into bodybuilding, or he might have been like powerlifting or something beforehand. But somehow or another, he got into bodybuilding, and then I think that during that time for Austria, it was like mandatory to do like military service for them.
Yeah,
and I think he essentially dodged it, and then they threw him in prison or something like that.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That might be incorrect, but there was something that had to do with him dodging like military service.
Right.
And then he like came over here and was like, I'm going to be in movies. And so he just moved out here and like taught himself English.
Yeah, I mean, he won the Mr. Universe thing.
Yeah, it was like
several times or something.
four or five times, maybe. Yeah, might have been 6.
Yeah. So he came from Austria and became a famous bodybuilder in Mr. Universe, and then he became an actor. And
yeah, started one of the largest movie franchises.
Yeah, and then later in his life became the governor.
Yeah.
Just, what a story.
Yeah, it's just absurd. Like, who does that? You know what I mean?
And when the people think of him, they stare, oh, silly man.
Just discredits everything that he did.
Everything he's done. He'll never get away from that. And he never even made that noise. Speaking of celebrities, did you see, Mary told me about this the other day, or yesterday, Lady Gaga's dog walker was attacked.
By a dog?
No. No. He was walking her dogs. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it's kind of ridiculous. He was walking her dogs. She has like 3 little like French bulldogs.
Yeah. Lady Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga. And the guy that attacked him shot him in the chest 4 times.
Good God.
And stole 2 of the dogs. I think the guy...
Really? You're going to shoot somebody in the chest and steal dogs?
Well, I guess that's the kind of shit that dog thieves do. I mean, I don't know. I just don't...
they're very brutal, by the way.
I guess. So the guy ended up making off with 2 of them, and then like the dog walker he was able to keep one of them from the guy. But the article, because I went back after Mary told me about it, and I read the article or whatever, and all it talked about was her dogs. Right? And I was like,
no, there was a person.
There was a man that was shot.
Yeah.
And like at the very end of the article, after it sucked Lady Gaga's dick and talked about the dogs for like 5 paragraphs, it said the dog walker is expected to recover. That's all he got. He was shot in the chest 4 times. Now, he's incredibly lucky, right?
No.
Because supposedly he's recovering well or whatever, and he was shot in the chest 4 times.
Yeah, the fact that it missed his heart.
Yeah.
Like,
or didn't collapse both of his lungs or some shit like that. But that's all that guy got was that one sentence at the very end.
Ridiculous.
Just, it's a human life. Like, I understand that he's not, he never wore a meat suit next to Eminem at the Oscars or the Tonys or whatever. No, the Tonys is like Broadway.
Yeah. You see Eminem on Broadway.
I don't know, just people deify celebrities way too much. Way too much. Especially within that atmosphere. They themselves are the worst.
And the crazy thing is, too, is like, I don't get why it is that they're put up on this pedestal. It's like they pretend for a living.
You mean like actors?
Yeah. Like, you play pretend for a living.
Well, well, yeah, that. And
like,
also...
I'm sure that it is incredibly difficult to do that or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's all the money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they make stupid money.
Yeah.
And, Lady Gaga's not an actor. Well, she acted in that one movie with... what's his name?
Was it Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, that was actually a remake. They've remade that movie twice now. I think the original one was Meryl Streep and I want to say it wasn't Barry Manilow. I don't know what that is. I don't know why.
Barry Manilow.
Chris Christopherson and Meryl Streep, I think, were the 2 original. Yeah. No, they were in the remake. The original one came out like in the 40s.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
There's so many remakes now. And Disney and
they've run out of ideas.
Do you think that's what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's, not even just like in the movie side of things, but TV shows are like, there's the Cobra Kai.
Yeah, there's a lot of relaunches.
There's a lot of relaunches and remakes, and in the video game side of things, you got remasters and remakes, and Well, a lot of the time it kind of seems like just like a cash grab.
No.
Like playing off of people's nostalgia.
No.
I just don't feel like you saw that as much, 20 years ago.
No.
Or, 15 years. 20 years ago I'd have been 9, so I would have been paying attention. But like now it's like they're remaking and doing live action versions of things, and you know, it just seems like they're trying to capitalize off of people's nostalgia.
No.
Now,
yeah, Disney's the worst.
Yeah, Disney's been bad about it. They filmed Mulan in front of what was a death camp or a work camp or something like that.
Concentration camp for the Uyghur Muslims.
Yeah, couldn't you see a tower?
I don't know if you could see it, but they were in the area where they were essentially taking those people and putting them in concentration camps, or excuse me, re-education camps. I wouldn't want to offend the CCP.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Look at Winnie the Pooh will stick his men on us. How tone deaf is that? Because Mulan, the story of Mulan was like the liberation of China from the whoever.
They don't care.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck.
It's all about the money.
No.
It's not about the story or the message or whatever.
No.
And I know we sound very cynical and nihilistic, but I mean that's really what it is.
No. It's like, have you even looked into that and some of the stuff that they're claiming that they're doing to those people over there, the Uyghur Muslims?
The Uyghur Muslims,
yeah.
I knew that they were rounding them up, but that was about the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, they were, from the articles that I've read, is essentially that they have all of them under 24-hour surveillance all of the time. They know when they leave their house. They know when they come home. And then, if they do anything...
And these are people that are, still in...
That are out in town.
So not people that are, in the camps or whatever.
No. So what they're doing is they're constantly keeping watch over these people. And if they do anything that the CCP considers, extremist behavior, they go round all of them up, especially the men, and they'll take and put them in these re-education camps. And essentially what happens is the women that are left behind are assigned a new husband by the government, which are usually government officials.
Wow.
So they're doing that. And then there's also, I don't know if this is a true claim or not, but essentially from what I've heard is that they're using these people that are in the re-education camps for harvesting organs. So
I mean, I wouldn't. It doesn't sound outlandish to me.
You know what? The Communist Party has done so many horrific things since their inception that I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah,
it's look at Russia in the fucking gulags, and all that shit that they had going on over there, and how many people they killed.
Yeah,
under fucking Stalin and Lenin.
So Are these Chinese Muslims? Is that what it is, or
yes.
is this people who've been displaced? Or?
No, they're. If you look at the pictures, they're obviously they're in Chinese descent.
Yeah,
but I think they live closer to where India kind of meets where China's at, and so it's in that bottom portion, essentially.
So they would be exposed to that kind of.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is too is especially with the Communist Party. Or really any type of a fascist party or anything like that. They try to get rid of religion. The state is the religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So any type of what they consider extreme religious behavior, then they throw them in the camps.
Wow. Well, they want you to worship them.
Yeah.
They want you to worship the government body.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that in 2021 that we're still dealing with this kind of shit. It's nobody's talking about this.
Well, it works. If you have a government installation like a communist party like that, that kind of shit works to keep you in power.
No.
So I mean, it's not going to go away. It's not going to be one of these things that goes away with diplomacy.
No.
Before
not.
that ends, it's going to get bloody.
Yeah, it'll have to.
It will have to.
It's the same way that happened with the Nazis.
Yes.
Or the same thing that happened with the Cold War with Russia and all the shit that they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's especially bad if you have an instance where you have a government like that, and the people are brainwashed into thinking that that's their best option.
Yeah.
Or they're brainwashed into thinking that people that are trying to help them are actually the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, I know that, that's, depending on how you look at it, it's like, America likes to think of themselves as like the world police, and, we have to have our noses and everything. But almost every time we've tried to go and like help liberate somewhere,
it turns out awful.
we just left like a giant fucking mess.
Yeah, we're like, yay, we helped.
Yeah. Yeah. We flattened your entire country, but it was to help you.
Yeah.
But
it's like, was it Ralphie from The Simpsons? He's like, I'm helping.
I'm helping, yeah. But, they, to, America's credit or whatever, we have overthrown dictators and we have, removed those, heads of state that were oppressing people.
The thing that really fucked us over is the fact that we kept getting involved in shit we shouldn't have been involved with.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's sort of like the boy that cried wolf, right? So it's like if we tried to start shit with China, they'd be like, oh, fuck, here they go again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, think of North Korea. I watched a bunch of documentaries and stuff on North Korea, and the people that live there, they think that Kim Jong-un is like a god.
Yeah.
And like that he doesn't pee or shit.
He doesn't pee or poop.
Yeah, and that I think they believe that he will that he's the same leader. He's just reincarnated over and over again. There was that one documentary where they were putting flash drives, or I think it was flash drives, or it may have been like hard drives or something. Either way, they were putting them on like balloons and like floating them over the.
It was cell phones.
Was it cell phones?
It was cell phones. Yeah.
And it was full of pictures and videos and things. Like, this is what the outside world is like. Because those people have been convinced that North Korea is the best place in the world, and everywhere else is like this, just savage,
lawless wasteland.
Lawless wasteland.
Yeah.
And, like, they have all the propaganda of, the white American, like, killing babies and, the stuff that you would see, like, in the Pacific Theater. Yeah. Like, that was, like, the Japanese propaganda was that way, too. Yeah. Matter of fact, the Japanese people had been so brainwashed into thinking that America wanted blood. Just wanted to come over and kill them and rape their children and whatever, that when we landed on one of the islands or whatever, I don't remember which one it was. It was a military offensive, so we didn't just land on some island full of civilians. There was a military encampment there, and fighting broke out or whatever, and we ended up landing on the mainland of the island. And as the American military forces were moving into the village where the civilians were, after they had pushed the army out or pushed the military out, they had found that the civilians were killing themselves and like throwing their babies off cliffs and stuff because they thought that the American soldiers were going to like rape and pillage, and they thought that was a better outcome. That's what they had been convinced of.
It's just amazing to me how many times throughout history that governments have done that kind of shit. Yeah. And they continue to do it. Yeah. It's like if you look at like some of the worst shit that's ever happened in history, it's directly because of some type of government has caused this issue, or you know what I mean? That's why I think that why I've leaned so heavily towards, I don't want to say I'm not an ANCAP, like I'm not an anarcho-capitalist or whatever, but I slowly find myself getting more and more and more that way. Because it's at the point where I'm like, I just want you to leave me alone and give me enough rope to hang myself. Yeah. I don't want your help. Like,
I think the people
get away from me.
The people need to govern themselves. Yeah. Because
it's like anytime you give anybody a little bit of power, it's the people that are going to go after that power are not people that want to help people.
Right.
They're people that want power for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And what's the quote? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. There's never been like a good dictator.
No. No.
You know. I feel like, you know, American democracy, as flawed as it is, the people have a voice. You know, probably more so here than almost anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, you got like in the UK, I don't know much about like their thing. They have the parliament or whatever.
No.
And they've got the monarchy, but I'm pretty sure that that's just like...
I think that's just a figurehead.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything, really. No. That's just a whatever.
I think they have like some voting power or whatever like that, but...
Yeah, the Queen doesn't have absolute power.
No.
So, I don't know. I just feel like America is probably the closest to the people ruling, or people governing the people.
It's probably the closest.
And we aren't close to that, but we're the closest to that.
I think the way it was initially set up, it was supposed to be as close to that as possible. Yeah. But then over the years, people have gotten in and they wrote in silly fucking bills and laws and shit like that that make it almost impossible to kind of roll some of that shit back. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that's been grandfathered in.
Yeah, like all like putting extra pork and shit into bills. And
I hate that so much.
Yeah.
I remember when I learned that, I always thought that like a law or a bill was like this single issue thing. Like, and you hear it a lot too, like the House is going to vote on this issue.
No, it's like, well, what else is in there?
Yeah, there's always something else in there. No. It's loaded with shit. No. So they might pass, you know, A, but B through Z is also in there. And those are eventually going to become issues as well that are then going to have, you know, they're then going to have to wind back up on the floor and be voted on again. And some new bill is going to pass with a million other different things. No. And a lot of that is, you know, people trying to appease their lobbyists.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
People that are lining their pockets.
Well, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, well, it's all about the money.
Yeah, it's all about the money. It's all about the money and the power.
Yeah. It's, you know, people, even politicians, intrinsically know what the right thing is.
Oh, yeah.
You always know what the right thing is. You don't always do the right thing, but you always know what the right thing is. So it's not a matter of, don't they know that this is the right thing to do? Yeah. Or don't they know that that's a bad thing to do? Of course they know. Yeah. But it's not about what's right or wrong.
Like even if they do the wrong thing, there's no consequences.
Yeah. So it's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what makes the money.
Exactly.
Always. I don't mean to, you know, be too much of a cynic.
Well, I mean, but if you look at American politics today, how can you not be?
Yeah.
You know, it's like everybody that decided that they wanted Biden in office. It's like, well, look at the shit that he's doing. It's back to fucking your normal program television. You know what I mean?
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately. We're back bombing fucking Syria. Yeah. Like, it's all the same shit. It's just same shit, different day. And Trump did the same fucking thing. All of them are fucking war hawks. Bush, Obama. Obama dropped fucking 20,000 drone strikes. Yeah. And then won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, how about that?
You know what I mean?
Didn't the guy who invented dynamite win the Nobel Peace Prize?
I don't know.
Is that right?
Maybe.
I think that's right.
You know, the interesting thing about dynamite is that's essentially like the trigger for an atomic bomb.
Yeah,
that's what they use.
They measure it, and you know, a 20 megaton explosion is that's 20 tons of TNT.
Yeah, but essentially they use the TNT to start the reaction. Like it's
so there's like an initial explosion.
It's in the warhead that starts the explosion.
Wow.
Yeah,
I always thought it was like they just split an atom, a hydrogen atom. That's how the hydrogen bomb worked, right?
They do, but they use the TNT to start the reaction.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How did they...
I don't know if they're still doing it that way, but when they came up with the original atomic bomb and everything, that was how they did it.
Well, now they probably use like some kind of radioactive isotope.
Yeah, probably.
uranium or plutonium or something like that.
The crazy thing about, was it the first one they dropped? Was it the little boy or was it Fat Man?
I think it was Fat Man.
Yeah, when they dropped Fat Man.
The Enola Gay.
Yeah, is that they told the guy, they're like, we don't know if you're going to make it.
Yeah.
They're like, you might get caught in the explosion.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Do your best, I guess.
And then is that the one that they ended up like crashing on like inland like China or some shit like that? Like they didn't have enough fuel to get back?
Oh, I didn't know that. When they dropped a bomb on Japan?
I think so. It was one of the two, I think.
So they must have come from like the east side of Japan, flew over Japan, and then landed in China.
I think so.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have had any boats in that.
No, not in that vicinity.
Between Japan and China.
No, they weren't just going to let them in there.
Yeah. Japan did some rancid shit to China.
Oh, yeah. Like the Bataan death marches and all that shit.
The rape of Nanking. It's just World War II was just bad all over.
No.
It was awful. But who was that guy that there was a guy in Japan that like he lived in Nagasaki and worked in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And
like, what shit luck.
What shit luck, dude. I think he lived through both of them.
He did.
God, that's
He ended
insane.
up dying of cancer like way later. But, yeah.
So like was he at work and then the first one hit and then he went home and then the second one hit?
Yeah, he was like at work. There was like, do you ever watch like infographics or what, the infographic show? Yeah, they had one on him on there one time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they were talking about how like, he's like, yeah, he saw a bright flash of light and then he's like, and then everybody died and he was like still there.
Everybody died.
It's like, and then he like went home and he's like trying to tell his wife about it.
And he was like, yeah, just like this.
You imagine, you think about like night terrors, like you're like, oh, just like wake up in the middle of the night.
Like anytime somebody takes like a flash photo, there's like split second, like, oh, it's happening again.
Oh,
that's crazy, and those were the only two that were ever used like offensively.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of like that have been tested and exploded since, like was it the SAR bomb?
Yeah.
It was like 20 times or 200 times larger.
Yeah, it was like 200 times larger. It's the largest one that's ever been dropped.
Yeah, well, that we know.
Well, tested, I think, is what they said.
Yeah.
And I think that one is really interesting because they had to put a parachute on it in order for the plane to get away. The plane couldn't move fast enough to get away from the bomb.
Yeah, and this wasn't like back in the 40s or 50s when they had like jet technology at this point.
No. So they essentially had to put a parachute on it to slow it down before it would hit.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And the crazy thing is, too, is that they explode actually before they hit the ground.
Yeah, well, they do now because they found out, like, they call it airburst.
Yeah.
The airburst bombs are more effective than ground detonations. I don't know why, but they are.
I guess because you have, like, the explosion isn't going into the earth. Like, it's probably...
Spreading out over
the... It spreads down and then it probably shoots out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you, like, blow air onto this table, like, it would hit and disperse across the table. But, like, if you had your lips, like, on the table and blew, like, that air would be going against the table. You know what I mean?
There's a, I don't remember the name of that website, but you know the one where you can, like, simulate.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, you can simulate, like, say you wanted to see what would happen if Fat Man was dropped in the middle of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It would give you a display of, the initial explosion radius, the fireball radius, the radioactive fallout, and then like the concussive force or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I think it goes all the way from like the Moab, which is just like a big explosion, up to the SAR bomb. Yeah. And I just out of curiosity, I'd say, what happened if they dropped the SAR bomb on Atlanta? And it was like, my house was within the fireball. No. I can't fathom that. No. I can't.
It's huge.
In my head, I'm like, man, it takes me 45 minutes to get there. Mm-hmm. How am I inside the fireball of this thing? And especially when you consider even like the destructive power of Fat Man or Little Boy or whatever. It burned people's shadows into the ground.
No.
What kind of fucking sense does that make?
No.
When we went to the World War II Museum in New Orleans, I got to tell you something else about New Orleans. Our New Orleans trip. When we went to the World War II Museum, which, by the way, if you're ever in New Orleans, go check that out. That's really cool. They had a whole section on the Pacific Theater, and they had it was a bit of a small installment. I was kind of disappointed with it, but they had some photos of the destruction of when they dropped that bomb, and they had the pictures of the shadows burnt into the ground, and they had like glass bottles that were like set in people's windows and stuff. No, and the side that was like facing the bomb, like broke down on a molecular level, and the side on the side of the bottle on the other side was like still kind of normal. And they had pictures of like, stone walls and stuff, and the stone melted together. Like,
that's so crazy.
It's just, and that was, considering that bomb.
Yeah, just the heat displacement.
Considering the power of that bomb compared to the shit that we have now.
Yeah,
and it's no wonder that we have the nuclear stalemate.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to start dropping those fucking things because we know what they're capable of.
Yeah, and once we get started.
Yeah, whoever drops the first one, it's on after that. Yeah. I mean, and nobody's coming out of it.
Nope.
They thought that when they set off the first nuclear bomb, that it would ignite the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, what was it? Einstein was afraid that was going to happen.
Yeah, Einstein was worried that was going to happen. I kind of would have, I feel like I would have listened to Einstein.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were kind of...
he helped design the thing.
They were hamstrung, though, because at the same time, it was like the Germans were trying to develop the technology, too. So...
Yeah. And Japan wasn't going to stop.
No, it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? And God forbid if Germany would have got their hands on it.
Yeah.
Because they'd have been dropping them all over everybody.
Oh, yeah. They were fucking mad dogs. At that point in the war, they were mad dogs.
Yeah.
And at that point in the war, they were kind of backed into a corner. They had already pushed them back a little bit, so they were getting desperate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first one, they probably would drop the first one in Moscow. But then after that, it'd have been fucking on.
Mm-hmm. So, Mary and I went to New Orleans. We love it out there because our favorite kind of food is Cajun food. And what better place to get Cajun food
than New Orleans,
right? And, of course, we love all the touristy shit, too.
No.
But while we were there...
You were like a fanny pack with...
just about. It's just there's so much to do there and, like, walk around and see. And, if you go, like, November to January, the weather's not so bad.
No.
Don't go in, like, August because you'll melt.
Yeah, like the time that we went in August, and it was awful.
Oh, quick aside. You remember we went for that track meet?
Yeah.
And that was a couple months before Hurricane Katrina hit.
It was like a month before, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when we were back home, we were watching news footage of Hurricane Katrina, and they showed the stadium where
it was
our
all
track
underwater.
meet was.
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing was underwater.
No.
And I was like, I remember sitting there and looking up at like the stadium lights. Mm-hmm. Those fuckers are underwater now.
No.
That was wild. But anyway, so while we were there in New Orleans, we went to a place called the Museum of Death, which is it's a small place, probably about the size of maybe the bottom floor of my house.
No,
but it's just packed full of all kinds of morbid shit.
No,
like you have to be a certain age to be even able to get in. And they had like different walls and corners for like different serial killers and tragedies that have happened. They had like a 9/11 section or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was all really cool, very, very informative stuff. In the back of the building, there was a thing called the Theater of Death.
Just snuff films.
Well, Mary was like, let's go back there and see what that is. I was like, okay. So you walk through like this doorway or whatever, and you hang an immediate right, and you follow down this kind of corridor. And then at the end of the corridor on your left is like rows of like church pews facing a screen. that's just playing snuff films. And there's like this ragtime music playing because it's New Orleans, and it's just people getting shot and stabbed and beheaded, and like it's like
so
real.
The whole thing turned into a fucking cartoon.
Well, it was
like someone like sticks their finger in it.
yeah, it was like that boink sound, like the Three Stooges.
It was like a lady in the front, like playing the organ.
Yeah, but I've been on the internet for a while.
No.
I've seen all that shit.
No.
And, there's not a whole lot that shocks me anymore.
No.
So I'm just kind of standing there looking at it.
No.
And I'm like, Mary's a very gentle soul.
Yeah.
And I kind of look over at her, and she seems to be like kind of holding it together or whatever. And I'm like, I was like, I don't know if she's cool with this.
Yeah.
Like, this might be really freaking her out.
Yeah.
And I think she handled it okay. But there was like, it was such a strange situation standing there in that room, because there was like people just sitting in the pew just watching, and it was like, if you want to satiate your morbid curiosity, that's the place to go do it at.
Yeah.
But be warned. But like I said, some of the shit I've seen on the internet, there's not a whole lot that really shocks me anymore.
It's like the BME Pain Olympics.
Oh my God. Look, if you people listening go and you look up any of this shit, that's on you.
Yeah, that's on you.
That's on you. Don't blame us if you can't sleep. The B&E Pain Olympics is pretty rough. The worst one, to me, the worst one is when the dude cuts off his own balls.
That's awful.
Because
he rolls it out with...
because he gets towards the end and just pulls it the rest of the way off.
Oh. And then he like... takes the blunt end of the hatchet and like starts smashing it.
God almighty.
Jesus Christ.
There's One Man, One Jar, where the dude shoves a glass mason jar up his ass and then breaks. And it breaks, and he starts taking all the bloody glass out of his asshole. The only one
this gave me a shiver.
The only one that ever really the one that affected me the most, I should say, is the one where those two kids in Russia stabbed that homeless guy with the screwdrivers.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
I think it's called like Two Guys, One Screwdriver. They all have names like that.
No.
Two Girls, One Cup, whatever.
No.
I think it started that title trend or whatever. But that one's pretty rough just because it's so depraved.
No.
And I could.
It's like the guy did nothing to deserve what he.
Yeah, that's what gets me is, I can watch if a dude wants to cut his own balls off.
Yeah, that's on him.
That's on him.
Yeah.
But if he's like cutting off another dude's balls, who did want it, that innocent people getting hurt really gets me. More so, animals, animal abuse. I have a hard time watching that too, or a hard time watching it. It affects me a lot when I see it.
That's the thing too, is like, I know that's always affected me real bad. That too. And like after we had autumn, anytime like I hear of like people, like there was a lady in like Florida that she like found this baby like on the side of the road, and like there was like a rat biting it. And it was like this person just left their baby on the side of the road. And it was like, what?
Well, yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how you could do that to your own child.
Well,
it was like Casey Anthony, where she killed her daughter and essentially like lied about it for like 6 months or so, or she's still lying about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know, and I'm definitely not trying to give a pass to this kind of shit, but I do know that sometimes mothers, especially.
Is it that Munchausen or whatever it is?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, something like that.
There's supposed to be some kind of chemical thing that happens in your brain when you have a baby, that like it imprints you to the baby or the baby to you or whatever. And it's a survival thing, right? So that you will take care of the baby and the species will live on.
Yeah.
But sometimes that doesn't happen.
No.
And it's, there's instances of mothers who have children and then just don't feel anything towards it.
No. Oh, the one I'm talking about is the one where like they'll hurt the child in order to get
attention.
To get attention, yeah.
That was in what, The Sixth Sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. And I'm sure it's different now because I'm a father, but you know, like that kind of stuff. Like I always thought it was like shitty, like when I saw it before I had a kid, but now I'm just like I can't even imagine like doing something like that to my daughter. So,
how much truth is there to the statement of it'll be different when you're a parent?
It's different. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the first time you see them, like you're like, oh fuck, like that's my kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's half of me.
Yeah.
So
because I hear that a lot. I mean, it's like because when I think of babies, I just get stressed out.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, I was the same way. Like I was like I don't really like other people's kids and shit. Like, I don't.
Like.
But yeah, like as soon as you have a kid, it's different.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder if it's that thing I was talking about.
Yeah, it might be. Well, and that's the thing too. Is like, I guess it's different for like dads and stuff, maybe.
Yeah. Because
they don't have like that shit that mothers do or whatever.
Well, I mean, when you think of biological level, your job is to go around and impregnate as many people as you can. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, biologically that and like hunt and kill and provide and that kind of
ensure
stuff,
the survival of the species. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but even still, like at the same time, like especially once you have a kid, like that protective instinct, like gets cranked up to 11.
Yeah.
So, but yes, it is. It is very different once you have a kid because you're like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's hard. It's hard to explain.
That's what I always hear. It's just like I can't explain it to you. It's just when it happens, it totally flips the script.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like anybody that has ever had a kid will say that exact same thing. Especially like a dad that actually gives a fuck. You know what I mean?
I don't think I'll ever be okay with poop though. I can't handle poop. I have never been able to handle poop. I can't handle poop.
I think. After we had Buddy, I was like, nothing.
That dog shit.
It's like, I don't think anything will ever, like a dog that's slobbered.
Nothing will ever match that.
When you have a 220-pound Saint Bernard that just constantly, you're like having to wipe slobber strings like off of his mouth, like with your bare hand.
He was a very viscous dog.
And then like he has like human-sized shits.
He does not have human-sized shits. He had cow patty-sized shits. That dog Lex takes some pretty big shits. Yeah. Buddy, God almighty. That dog. He was an awesome dog though.
After we had him, like once we had on him, I was like, man.
That ain't nothing. Yeah. I've seen way worse.
Like I essentially, like the time, like we were in Gatlinburg. I took Autumn to the bathroom to change her, and I was like, well, she didn't poop, and then she started pooping, so I just like grabbed the wipe and put it in my hand, just caught the poop in my hand.
Oh, gross. Yes, this is gross.
One day she's gonna listen to this. She's like, oh my god, damn.
Oh my god. I remember because there was a while there where Buddy stayed with us over at Mom and Dad's house. I think you guys were like,
that was
going to college, or
that was before. No, that was right after I had dropped out of Kennesaw, and I was working, I think, like 3 jobs at the time.
Yeah.
So,
well, I remember because at the time. It just so everybody's schedule just so happened that I was the first person to get home in the evenings.
No.
And so I would usually come home and feed Buddy and, let him out to pee or whatever. And I came home. I opened the door to the kitchen, and the whole house just smelled like rancid dog shit. And I was like, oh, my dear God, where is it? And I started looking around. And it wasn't in the kitchen. It wasn't in the laundry room. And as I'm moving through the house, I'm not finding it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? Well, I take that around that corner out of the living room into the foyer.
Yeah.
And he had backed up to the wall and just shit down the wall. And it was kind of like, you could kind of see where like the initial like was, because it like went up the wall a little bit. And it was just all down the wall and like in a pile on the floor. And I remember standing there looking at it, And I'm like,
where do I begin?
I left. I went and got back in my car and I left, and I was like, I'll just say that like I was busy or whatever. I didn't go home, and like I came home like 3 hours later, and I came home and Dad was there, and I walked in and he was like, "Buddy took the biggest shit." I was like, "Did he really? Oh my gosh!" I just couldn't handle it, man.
I missed that old dog.
He was a good dog.
He was. We were laughing about him the other night. He, when we lived in Jacksonville, he used to do this thing where like we would eat at the couch, but we'd set the plates on the ottoman so we could like watch TV and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he would come in like into the living room and like sit with us because he wanted food.
Yeah.
So he'd lay his head on the ottoman like while he's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And he would like just look at you.
Just stare at you.
Yeah. And if you ate and you didn't give him anything, then like at the end he'd go like that, and then he'd get up and go in the bedroom and go to bed.
He's like, this is fucking bullshit. It didn't give me anything. I remember we were all up in the game room over at Mom and Dad's house, and there was a pool stick laying on the couch. It was laying on the couch. The pool stick was kind of like hanging off the end or whatever. And Buddy was coming around, and it took Buddy a long time to get anywhere because he was so long from head to tail.
Yeah,
it was like once his head passed a point, his tail would pass that same point like 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
So he was walking, and he walked past that pool stick, and he was at just the right height that the pool stick, the end of it, jammed into his pee-pee.
Yeah.
And the other end of the pool stick was jammed into the back of the couch. And so it was like a fulcrum.
Yeah.
And as he walked forward, the pressure of the pool stick increased and kept pushing into him. But he never backed up or like tried to get away from it. He just screamed through the whole thing. As he was walking forward, he went, "Whoa!" Oh, it was so funny.
Oh, God.
He was a good dog. We've had lots of good pets over the years. We've had, I don't know, 30, 40 cats.
You know, a kitty in a case.
Yeah, kitty in a case. We've had lizards, and of course we had all kinds of fish and guinea pigs and
flat guinea pigs.
Oh man, you know, our little brother.
Shout out Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron. He had a guinea pig. I think he was the first one to get a guinea pig.
Yeah.
We all had guinea
Charlie.
pigs at some point. Yeah. But he had Charlie. You had Chocolate, who was a complete piece of shit.
Yeah, I hated that fucking thing. I remember I used to grab it with a fucking catcher's mitt to like throw it in the thing so I could clean the fucking the cage.
Instead of biting the hell out of you. But Aaron had Charlie, and one day, me and Mom came home, and I went to reach in the cage and kind of play with Charlie or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had that plastic like castle thing.
Yeah.
He was in there, and he wouldn't come out. And so I took the I took the thing, I lifted the castle up or whatever, and he's laying there, and he's pancaked. There's no like blood on him or guts coming out of him or anything. He's just flat like a cartoon. And I looked at Mom. I looked at Mom. I'm like, "Hey, I think Charlie's dead," and he deflated. And she came over. And she was like, "Oh my God, he's totally flat."
Yeah.
So we, threw him away or whatever. We didn't bury him. He's a rat.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. And we told Aaron, like he was at Brandon Justin's house or whatever, and he came back home, and we told Mom was like, "Aaron, we got to tell you that something happened to Charlie. We don't know what, but Charlie's not with us anymore." And I remember Aaron was just like, "Oh no." Like, "Oh, that's awful. Oh well." Then like years later we found out that Aaron had taken Charlie out of his cage and was playing with him or whatever.
Was he like running through the house with him?
He was sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And Charlie jumped off of Aaron's lap.
Yeah.
And went to take off, and Aaron went to get up.
Yeah.
Quickly to catch him.
Yeah.
And when he did that, he stepped on Charlie and flattened him. Just no.
Poor guinea pig.
Poor Aaron, because like Aaron was probably 9 or 10.
Yeah, he wasn't very old.
He was a little kid at the time, and that must have really just fucked with him. Like he was probably laying in bed that night, just like thinking, like I can feel the crunch of his bones under my foot.
He's like, I'm a murderer. There's no turning back now.
Oh, that was so bad.
Oh, he had that one, and then he had the turtle that like never opened its eyes.
Yeah, he kind of had bad luck with pets there for a while.
And then he had the bearded dragon that ended up having a hole in his chest.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Well, we came home from Panama City, I think it was, and we found Fred in the cage with a hole in his chest.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't Aaron.
No.
Aaron was with us. He was just in a cage by himself and was dead with a hole in his chest, like a little pin-sized hole in his chest.
Very odd.
That was weird. It was like our bearded dragon got assassinated.
Yeah, it was super strange. I remember that. He did not have good luck with animals at all. He
also put my cat in a cooler.
Yeah, he did, and then left it there and forgot.
And left it there. He didn't do that out of spite or anything. No, he was like 4.
He was younger than that.
He
was like maybe 1.5.
It was just it was like a little kid thing that he did. I think he was playing with the cat and put it in the cooler and forgot that it was there. And I think Dad found
like a while later.
Dad found Muffin like 8 months later.
Yeah, he was like, because we were like, where's that cat at?
Yeah.
Like, did it run away finally? Yeah, because he also squeezed it like a tube of toothpaste. That poor cat.
Muffin had a rough go of it, man. Yeah. That was a rough draft cat. It was attempt number 1.
I remember that because Dad said he opened that cooler. He's like, there's the cat.
Oh my God. We've had, let's see if I can remember, we had Muffin, Spunky, Oreo, Milky, Venus and Serena.
No.
Is that all of them? Lily. And then Wednesday.
And then
Paisley makes number 10.
Paisley, and what was the other one? The feral cat that kept coming around.
Oh, Smokey.
Yeah, Strokey.
Yeah, that was crazy. When Smokey showed up, that was after we heard a cat fight one night.
Yeah.
And if you ever heard a cat fight, that's some wild shit.
That sounds awful.
It sounds bad. But yeah, she showed up with her throat ripped out the next day. She lived.
Yeah, because she couldn't meow. She's like,
yeah, she would just squeak. Just go. She hung around for a long time.
Yeah, because was it like there towards the end? We think she had a stroke because she like couldn't see anything.
Yeah, she went blind. She was blind. I remember because I shined my flashlight in her eyes and her pupils didn't react or anything. I was like, she's blind. So we started calling her Strokey after that.
You talk about a cat that was a killer.
Yeah, that kid, Smokey was a badass.
No,
it's fucking stone cold. I remember Dad had left for work. Oh no, this was later in the day. So towards the end, Smokey got real bad, and Dad had left for work that morning, and he said that Smokey was kind of acting like she was on her last leg.
No.
And he was like, he texted me, because at the time I worked about 10 minutes from the house, and I would just go over to Mom and Dad's house for lunch.
Yeah.
And
like keep an eye out for the cat at lunch.
Yeah. He said, keep an eye out for Smokey. He's like, I think she might be dead. When you get there, he was like, make sure, he said, bury her. He said, there's a shovel in the garage, but make sure she's dead first. He said, make sure she's dead first. There's a shovel in the garage.
You're like, how
and
much?
I said, make sure she's dead with the shovel.
He's like, no, stupid.
He's like, no, you idiot. Just bury the cat.
She's like sitting there, like, I'm sorry I have to do this.
Sorry, Smokey. Yeah, she's like totally fine. Orders are orders.
Oh, yeah. Cats have had a rough go of it at Mom and Dad's house. Like,
you
remember the time Dad was going to take us to Funko Land? And then we were, like, backing up.
Yeah. I can very vividly remember it. I think that was my first experience with death.
Yeah.
Was Dad running over that cat's head and its body flailing around.
Yeah, because somebody was like, I think he's playing. And Dad's like, I don't think he's playing.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah. And then Mom had all those cats she was slinging out from underneath the car. She was constantly killing cats. Because they get up in the engine block.
Yeah.
And she'd take off.
Or in the tires or something.
Or in the tires. And I remember one time, was it me and Drew had gone to like football practice that morning or something like that?
Yeah.
And we came back and there was a cat laying in the yard. And Mom was like, can you go out there and get that up? And so, like, we go out there, and Drew's like, I'm going to get the shovel, you get the bag. He's like, I'll put the cat in the bag.
Yeah.
And so he, like, shovels it up, and the eyeball, like, flopped back over and was, like, looking at him. He's like, oh, Jesus, it's looking at me. And he's, like, trying to put it in the bag. Oh. Yeah. Cats have not had a good go of it at Mom and Dad's house.
They really haven't. I had a buddy who had a cat that I'm pretty sure lived to be like 30.
Good God.
Like, he lived for a really long time. Because it was like my first time ever going over to his house, he had the cat. And at that time, the cat was already like 10.
No.
And then, like, he posted a picture of the cat the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that the same cat from, when I came over that one time? He was like, yeah. I'm like, that's got to be like 30 fucking years old by now. It's amazing how long they'll live if you don't run their heads over.
Yeah, cats live for a long time.
Yeah. I wish dogs lived longer.
No.
Yeah.
I think their record is like 32 years old for a dog.
For a dog?
Yeah.
Jesus
Christ. It was a small dog. It wasn't a large dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
So some little yappy little bastard.
Yeah. Small dogs live a lot longer. And larger dogs. That's why it was really impressive that Buddy made it to 12. So.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah.
For his size and his breed.
Yeah. I think they said St. Bernards usually are between like 8 and 10 or something like that. And that's old for them. Yeah. So the fact that he made it to 12.
Yeah. He made it a long time.
Especially with how big he was.
He was a damn big dog.
Yeah.
He was
massive.
Fucking massive.
That's why anytime I ever showed anybody like a picture of him, they're like, you're full of shit. That's not how big he was. I was like, yes, that's exactly how big he was. Like that picture of him sitting there and Dad's got his hand on him while Dad's in the chair and his hand is like up like the same height as his own head.
Yeah. I was talking to Mary the other day about, I said Lex and Lola are like stereotypical dogs.
No.
Like they do stereotypical dog things, like hang their head out the window, chase their tails, and all that and the other. And I was like, it's really funny to see them do that because my experience with dogs was Molly.
Yeah, Molly didn't do any of that.
Molly was a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
She wasn't mean.
No.
She was just like grumpy and didn't want anything to do with anybody. She wanted to be in the same room with you, but she didn't want you to touch her and like.
No.
She would sit on the couch with you, but only if she had a whole cushion to herself.
Yeah.
And if you came onto her cushion even a little bit, she would go and hop up and walk off. But Molly lived a long time too.
Yeah, she was like what, 13, 14
13
years
or 14,
yeah.
She was like a medium-sized dog though. She wasn't real big.
She wasn't very big. She'd whoop ass though.
Man, I saw Molly whoop some serious ass.
Yeah.
Remember when she she got that hold of that duck and was shaking all the feathers off of it?
Or was it the time Brandon and Justin's dog, like, she was like, every day she'd like back up a little bit and she'd like run out just enough and like start barking to get him to come a little closer.
Yeah, he got too brave.
And then he got too close. And she'd drug him in there.
I remember we used to feed her Gravy Train.
Yeah, Gravy Train.
You guys don't feed Gravy Train to your pets.
No, don't do that.
They'll love it.
Don't do that to those poor dogs.
They will love it, but it is not good for them.
It's essentially just like a Big Mac for a dog.
It was making her hair fall out. You remember that? Yeah, she just had like clumps of hair was coming off of her. And I was like, we can't feed her this shit.
No.
Yeah, it was the McDonald's of the dog food world.
Oh, yeah.
And McDonald's is already like the passionless hand job of the food world.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the past couple of times I've gone to McDonald's, and I don't know why I keep going back. I don't go there a lot, but when I do, I just feel so gross afterwards.
No.
It's just like it feels like I'm full of chemicals, like I've been embalmed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It just felt awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really the only thing I ever even get from there anymore is like an iced coffee, and that's really it. That's really the only thing that I get. And even still, it's like, how much coffee is really in here?
Yeah. I used to always get the steak, egg, and cheese bagel back when they had that on the breakfast menu.
Oh, yeah.
That was like one of the best things they ever had, and they got rid of it when COVID happened. I think what happened was, a lot of places kind of lost suppliers during the lockdown, and I think they just couldn't get a hold of it anymore, so they took it off their menu. But speaking of McDonald's, have you ever seen The Founder?
Yes.
If any of you listening haven't seen The Founder, I believe it's on Netflix. You need to go watch that. It's about Ray Kroc, who is he? He's
a fucking scumbag.
Yeah, he's a fucking scumbag. But is he is he alive?
No, I don't think so.
He died. No. Well, he's credited as the
rotten in hell.
Yeah, he's credited as the founder of McDonald's. When in reality, he stole it from two brothers who started it in San Francisco, I think it was.
L.A.
Or L.A.?
L.A. or San Francisco. It's one of the two, yeah.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It just kind of details all the scummy, shitty, terrible things that he did to those guys.
Yeah, there's that, and there's like another one. Is it on like Nat Geo or something like that? Or it might have been on like the History Channel, where they went over some of the like the origin stories of like fast food and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they had one on Milton Hershey, and then they had one on the McDonald's brothers, and they had another one on Colonel Sanders. And
I was just about to say
that was a good one. Yeah.
Colonel Sanders was
originally
a wild man.
Yeah, he was a fucking nutbag. That dude. Was it he ended up getting disbarred from practicing law because he fought his client in the courtroom or something like that?
Yeah.
They like got into a fist fight.
Yeah, and then I think he had like a gang war with like a rival chicken stand or something like that. He shot a guy.
Yeah, they in like the documentary or like the little docuseries that they did, I guess the other people were like coming there like painting over their signs and shit. So he like went out there with a shotgun and like told him to fuck off. And one of the other dudes pulled a gun, so he shot and killed the dude.
Damn.
Like,
all in the name of chicken.
Yeah, all in the name of chicken.
Dude,
I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
KFC used to be untouchable, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was the the leader of the fried chicken game.
Yeah.
But now have you had it recently?
No. I haven't had it in a very, very long time.
They're like mashed potatoes and gravy and what, like their sides and all that is, the kind of the same quality that it's always been.
Yeah.
But their chicken has really gone downhill.
Yeah.
Like we had some not long ago. Well, I say not long ago. It's probably been about a couple months. But we got the original recipe. I like the original.
No.
I don't like it way too crunchy or crispy or whatever. I feel like I'm paying for mostly breading.
No.
But it was so soggy. And it was like just dripping in grease. It was like they fried it, and then they put it in the chicken warmer or whatever, and then right before they handed it to us, they gave it one little like bloop in the grease and put it in the bucket. And it's just not good. And even the flavor's like way off. But maybe I'm romanticizing it a little bit from when I was a kid, but I remember it being way better.
No.
And there's
you seen
better options out there now with Bojangles and Popeyes and stuff like that.
Did you see the KFC console?
I did.
That they came
Didn't
out
it have like pretty good specs on it?
Yeah, it's essentially a computer.
Yeah.
And was it they had the chicken chamber?
Yeah, the chicken chamber. Keep your chicken warm while you're gaming. I love this age that we're in now with companies just doing all kinds of shit.
Yeah. It's like I think they came out with it like as a meme, and they like it'd be even funnier
if we actually
made it. Because people are like clamoring to try to get the thing now. People are like, "Yeah, I want the KFC console."
We need Linus Tech Tips to do a video on it. Well, they when they revealed the Xbox Series X, there was the joke that it looked like a big refrigerator.
Yeah.
And then Microsoft
made a refrigerator
that
looks just like it.
It looks like it. So, I think it's funny when companies kind of embrace
the meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then everybody's like, they just build positive relationships with the customer base when they can actually like make fun of themselves.
Yeah.
Or it's like, they said the PS5 looks like a Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
Have you seen one of those things? They're really big.
Yeah.
It's like this tall or whatever. Like almost 2 feet tall.
Yeah, well, the amount of hardware that they got to get into it in order for it to run it what they're running it at.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get a Series X.
I'm not.
Because if Halo Infinite was like an exclusive title on that console, I would get one. But you can
get it on PC though.
You can get it on PC, and I can get it on Game Pass as soon as it releases, and I've got Game Pass. So that's why would I buy a whole new console for that? It kind of seems like there's not really much of a reason to kind of go one way or the other anymore. No. Aside from exclusives, because when you talk about power between the two consoles, they're the same. So it's like, really, why wouldn't you just get a PC?
No. That's all the same shit now.
I had a buddy who, you know what? I want to talk about riding to Atlanta. Because I was about to tell a story.
I was about to say, I think this will be our last segment before we break out of here.
I was about to talk about him, but ladies and gentlemen, there's a song on YouTube. It's my favorite song in the whole world. It's called "Riding to Atlanta."
Check it out
by artist Young Brillo.
Young Brio.
Young Brio. If I implore you at this point, pause the podcast, go to YouTube and search "Riding to Atlanta," Saw, S-A-W, Tyree, T-Y-R-E-E. You will not be disappointed. That song is so fucking wild. It's like a rap song.
Yeah.
But it goes in so many different directions.
No.
And I don't mean lyrically. I just mean as a whole. It's like madness.
It's like the ramblings of a madman.
It's like there's like this really like MIDI like beat that starts out, and then like there's like some bongos, and then there's like a cinematic like string orchestra thing that happens in the middle. And my favorite part of this whole thing is that there's I wonder if the mics are going to pick up the ducks.
I don't know.
The gooses out there. Anyway, there's a part, it comes out of nowhere, of a guitar going like, it's just like some dude noodling on a guitar, and then just kind of interspersed, like peppered in the song. And I was listening to it the other day because it's my first time ever listening to it in the car, in my truck. There's also a sub bass going throughout the whole song in the wrong key.
Really?
It's like this extra layer of like fuckery. That song is just, I love it so much. When you go and you look at the song on YouTube, you'll see that it has about 260 views. Those are all me. I just keep going back to it because I can't believe it's like art. And I feel like I just don't understand it, and I want to understand it. But
abstract art.
Yeah. And his dad actually has like his own thing going on.
Really?
Where he does like music videos or whatever. Those are wild. There's one where it's another rap song or whatever, and like the way it's filmed, it just looks like I said, madness. And there's like this one really cool shot where he's standing in the woods and he's got two Uzis, and he's being all gangster, and then like the camera kind of falls down into the side, but right before that scene cuts out, it shows a picture of like a family laying on the ground of the forest for like a split second. It's just like this avant-garde. It's beyond my realm of understanding, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
I just love that shit.
Look at this photograph.
Yeah. I like the one that's like, look at this bar graph.
He's like, look at this food.
Look at this food.
What we're talking about is if you go to YouTube and you look up, I don't even know, what would you type in? It's like,
I would look at this graph.
Yeah,
I would type in look at this graph.
Yeah, look at this graph.
And see what comes up.
Yeah.
It's a meme of Nickelback.
Yeah. Who, they're probably not in on the joke. They probably hate it.
We need to
Chad, you're an asshole.
Is he heir to the Kroger fortune? We need to make like a playlist of like all our favorite YouTube videos.
Yeah, we should do that.
So we can just post them on the Facebook page. But, well, I think we're about up for time today.
Yeah, I got to be in California in 4 hours, or 5 hours.
I hate that for you.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I was gonna say that keep an eye out for Bay City Psycho's album.
Oh yeah, has that been posted to the different websites yet?
I think it goes live tomorrow.
Okay.
But by the time that this podcast releases, it'll be the day after.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, go and check that out. I think it'll be live by then.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been, like I said, if I go on the distributor's page, it says that the album's already live, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. So maybe it's just that date. Once that date hits, then it'll go out. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. We hope that you have enjoyed listening today. We kind of went all over the place.
Yep.
If you guys want to contact us with any questions or fan mail or hate mail or anything like that, send an email to
Thick Boys Podcast.
thickboyspodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put the email in the description for the podcast. That way everybody has it.
And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, we'd appreciate it if you left us a review and a rating. And
yeah, we really need to start asking people to do that.
Yeah.
That way, more people can find the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you do like the podcast, please leave a review. Rate us how many ever stars you want to give us.
Yeah.
We'd prefer 5, but if you want to give us 1 or 2, that's cool too.
And share us with your friends. Don't share us with your grandparents.
Yeah, don't do
They
that.
may not appreciate it, but we would appreciate the word of mouth.
Yes,
So.
we would. That's how more people can find us.
Yeah. So, anything else?
Nope, I think that's it for me.
That's it. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We hope you've enjoyed listening, and we'll try to have a new episode out soon with more thick things to talk about. Hopefully some crazy shit happens in politics. I'm sure that it will.
Yeah, next time we'll have to talk about the Coca-Cola Be Less White.
Oh, man, how did we miss that?
We'll talk about it next time.
We'll talk about Be Less White.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.
Bye.